Dear investors, in the first section, let's look at the budget and the key takeaways very briefly. The market was fearful of the budget. It saw dip, and then when the budget did not impose any new taxation, barring a tax on ULIP and Provident Fund, the fall in the market was quickly reversed. The budget was good, it was growth oriented, scored on transparency, and did not hesitate to depend on growth, to depend on borrowings to fund growth. The focus on outright privatization was back, and that was very welcome. InvIT and REIT, two instruments which have been improved over past few budgets, are seemingly becoming the instrument of choice for the government to monetize several assets, mainly rental assets, and they continue to receive focus. We do believe that the sale of infrastructure assets such as roads, airports, power and gas transmission lines, maybe even hotels, by the private sector can bring in a lot of money, money which is chasing yields in a world of very low yields. At the same time, as the rental part of the business is sold to InvIT or a REIT, it could increase the ROCs of the business left in the holding company, which is usually the listed company. We hence do believe that in spite of large government borrowings, there is a great chance that we see interest rates in India remain low on account of continued corporate deleveraging and FPI interest. Flows into instruments like InvITs and REITs could aid the same. In the budget, the government continued to provide focus on incentives to manufacturing in India. So Make in India continues to be the in thing. Coming down to economic trends and what we have seen in Q3 results, the economy continues to recover, and nicely our interactions with corporates point to the same. The mood is positive. Very simply put, if we look at GST tax collections, they are now at record highs, and that points to overall economic activity now being similar to levels seen pre-COVID. Yes, there are parts which are still weak, and we do believe that as those parts come back towards normalcy, the economy could continue to see further growth. Quickly coming down to the result season, Q3 financial 21 result season is behind us. After a very strong Q2 versus expectations, this quarter was an encore. In fact, the delivery versus expectation was probably stronger. The growth once again was mostly margin driven, while some volume growth also was witnessed. The result season again saw good breadth in earnings. While Nifty companies saw flat sales and 27% profit growth, mid-cap companies, mid-cap 100 as an index, the companies comprising that saw 6% sales growth and 80+% PAT growth. That clearly points to the good performance of the not so large cap part of the market. Now, while estimates were improved before the result season, there was an indication that the festival season is going on strong. Yet, the result season delivered the strongest delta over expectations in a very long time. The result season was significantly better, and expectation hence of the future has also improved. Pharma, autos, consumer durables, metals and gas companies delivered sharply higher EBITDA. PSU banks, delivered high profit growth on lower losses. After spending 7 years in a row in the 400s, the index EPS is expected to be 525 in financial 21, growing to 715 or more in financial 22, and then crossing 800 in financial 23. So 7 years in 400s, we did not see a cumulative 25% EPS growth over 7 years, and then over 2 years we would be crossing nearly doubling in index EPS, especially versus the expectations which were there at the beginning of the year. This is happening on mean reversion of margins. So Indian margins were tending to be back to lows that were seen in 2001-2 kind of a period, and as losses in sectors like banking and telecom reverse themselves. Cyclicals are expected to contribute significantly to the strong growth in earnings. In the next section, let us look at institutional flows. Here, the trends that we have seen in the past continue. The foreign institutional investors continue to invest and strongly, while domestics continue to see redemptions. With I would suspect a lot of investors in the country, the retail investors coming in directly. More hands in the hands of retail investors is, to my mind, helping bring cheer to the real economy. One factor why we see very strong buoyant sales in, let's say, homes and autos and various other categories. Festival season was very strong. However, a lot of these categories are categories where leverage is deployed in purchase of the same, and hence we do suspect that most of the money is raised by selling to FPIs or by redeeming from domestic institutions is going back into the market, maybe on their own. And actually non-institutional volumes have sustained at high levels. Now there is a good part to this. The breadth of the earnings is good, and higher retail participation in the market is definitely resulting in good sustained breadth in the equity market. Coming down to valuations and outlook for the future, we have seen a very strong up move in earnings over the past 2 quarters. Now, this has led to index valuations being significantly lower than where they would have been if such an up move had not happened. And the chart shows you that. There are 1 or 2 points that I want to make. While P's do look higher than long period average, I think we have to also look at the index composition over the same period. A higher ROC business with steadier earnings stream would command a higher valuation, as would a business with a significantly higher growth profile versus that of the broad economy. Now, over time, we have seen high P spaces such as consumers, private sector banks, insurance companies see their weightage increase in the index at the expense of lower PE based valuation spaces like industrials, utilities, and commodities. In future, there is a chance that some e-com companies may also come into the index. Again, high P, and fast growing retail businesses come into the index. Again, high P. So the composition of the index should be kept in mind while comparing P, especially over long time periods. Also, valuations in the marketplace, would tend to be higher when interest rates are lower. And currently in India, we are looking at some of the lowest interest rates in history, and we do expect it to sustain for some time. So that is the other factor that one has to keep in mind. And on a bond yield to earning yield kind of an indicator, the markets do look quite okay. They do look they would be able to sustain valuations. Over the next 2 years, while the sales CAGR of most industries would be in line with that of the economy, but profit CAGR of banks, healthcare, IT, metals, and telecom could be considerably higher. Banks could see lower provisioning, while telecoms could benefit from higher pricing environment. Metal margins are expected to revert to mean levels, while IT and healthcare should see strong business traction. On account of focus that we have spoken about in our past videos. Given the strong growth in earnings, we expect financial 23 earnings to be in excess of 800, and with that in mind, a 1 year forward index target could be in the vicinity of 16,500 levels on the Nifty, which from current levels is around 12% away. Hence, while we do expect the index level to be broadly maintained, given the comfortable levels on the bond yield, less earning yield indicator as we spoke about, yet the performance of the large cap index going forward could be muted in the context of what we have seen in the past. So most of the easy money that was there on the table has been taken, and now it should be seen as business as usual. Large issuance of primary paper would absorb fresh institutional flows, while low inflation and interest rate and high systemic liquidity would provide valuation support. Summing up on these two factors, we should expect to see muted performance from the index. The breadth of the market, however, can continue to be high with strong earnings momentum that we spoke about in the broad market versus that of the index. The policy environment continues to be favorable, with announcements on PLI schemes continuing and with winners expected to be announced on a continuous basis over the next several months. We do expect to see strong performance from the value pack in spaces like banking, which could lead earnings growth over the next 2 years on lower provisioning. So in the market, our sense is two spaces could do well. One is the value pack, and there is a reversion to mean that is already being witnessed, and the second is the actually very high growth space. What happens is in an environment of low cost of capital, such an environment is great for businesses which are fast growing with back-ended profitability. E-com businesses in the country, like globally, are seeing a strong traction on the prospects of strong growth, and maybe some bit of this could continue going forward as well. Market is thus at a very interesting levels in many ways. COVID cases have dropped sharply in the country over past 1 month. However, they have again started to increase over the past few days. Western economies have seen second wave to be significantly higher than that of the first. Hopefully, in India, we don't see that as vaccines have arrived and are being dispensed. But we need to be watchful. If we are able to control the second wave, our growth outlook for financial 22 could be sharply higher versus the rest of the world, with good implications on macro flows coming into the country. We hence remain hopeful. In the last section, let me just touch upon one question that I keep getting from investors, whether this is the right time to invest and should we invest now or stagger. Typically the answer is to stagger, to average out the volatility over various events that we expect in the marketplace. However, with just about normal returns expected in the market over the next years from here, and strong macro tailwinds, though this may not be a good strategy. I do believe that given low returns that are being offered by other instruments like debt, investors wanting to have a significant returns in their money would have to take equity risk. Secondly, if one has decided to invest, then one should invest in the present rather than to stagger. This is because over the next 3 quarters, one is going to see a very strong earnings momentum on a YOY basis because the base is extremely benign. At the same time, versus even current expectation, there could be an improvement. People may be expecting costs to come back rapidly, and there is a chance that costs related to travel, conferences, etc. Do not come back immediately, and we could see some margin surprise as well. Now, over this period of 9 months to a year, inflation would also remain low, given the base effect of financial 21, and hence the ability of the central banks to keep interest rates low and liquidity high would be there. In that context, the recent wobble that we have seen in the market is a consequence of some increase in global interest rates, and every time the interest rates move a bit, currencies move along with it, and it leads to some amount of adjustments that investors have to make in their trades. It should prove temporary, is our sense. As we speak, another stimulus plan is in the works in the US and could be unveiled over the next 3 to 4 weeks. Such an event in the past have generally been positive for the equity market. We would hence believe that versus staggering investments over a period of time, it would be better to do a lump sum now and let the monies benefit from the results momentum on a YOY basis and the macro tailwinds. And yes, along with it, using the dips to provide top-ups to the investments in a high-quality portfolio. I do believe that would help as well. Lastly, given our observations on earning momentums in various parts of the economy and the government policy direction, the earnings momentum in the mid-cap part of the economy has been strong and could remain strong. And the government policy in terms of increasing import duty protection, in terms of PLI schemes, aid the mid-cap part of the market, and hence we do believe that portfolios with a mid-cap slant, such as our emerging opportunities portfolio, could stand out in such a environment. Thank you so much. Happy investing.